So the key to everything, especially when it comes to accumulation, being able to go and enjoy your money or your retirement, is cash flow. So we're going to show you here today how to create a never-ending cash flow. So how most people do it today is they sock as much money as they can into their 401ks or their IRAs, or they run out and they buy real estate, they rent it out, and that's their cash flow. And same thing for the IRAs or 401ks. When they go to use it, they start eating it up, and that's their cash flow. But the thing is there's actually a better way, a way that you can have all the benefits of real estate, the income and the collateral behind it, without the nightmares and the headaches of owning the real estate. And that's called a trust deed or a deed of trust. And so how the banks do it is that what they're going to do is if you have a piece of property, they're going to want to make sure that you have 20%, you have skin in the game, right? And they're going to basically, they'll loan you up to 80% of the value of that property. So if it's a $100,000 property, they're going to loan you up to $80,000. That's what they're going to do. And so they feel safe enough that if you stop paying your monthly payments, that's their cash flow. If you stop paying that they feel that 20% is enough equity or enough value in the home that they can get you out of the home, they can foreclose, they can fix it up if they needed to, put it up for sale, sell it, pay realtor fees, and they can walk away with their money back. There's collateral behind that loan. So what the bank does that's very intelligent is that when they loan you money, they have collateral behind it, okay? And they have cash flow at the same time. So when you go to the bank and you deposit your money, just say at a 2-year CD, they might give you 2%, and they don't give you collateral. Well, you get something called FDIC insurance up to $250,000. You can do your own research on that, but you don't walk away owning a piece of stock from the company, or you don't walk away owning a piece of the bank, like, hey, that piece of the corner bank, that's mine. You don't get any of that, but the bank gets that kind of collateral. So when you go to the bank and you borrow, just say a business loan. So they borrowed it from you at 2%, and they're going to pay you at the end. Just say they borrowed $500,000 from you, they're going to pay you $10,000 after it matures, and they're not going to pay you monthly payments. But what the bank does, they'll take that same $500,000, they'll loan it back to you or to somebody else, somebody with good credit. Just say it's a business loan, and they're going to want everything under the sun. They want to make sure that there's enough collateral there that if that loan defaulted, they're safe, because remember, they borrowed this money from somewhere else. They got to keep this money safe. So what happens is they loan it out, they get that collateral behind it. They might have their property, right? I mean, anything you could possibly think of, maybe even their kids. But what happens is, here's the bank's secret. They're going to make sure that not only is the collateral behind it, they have monthly cash flow coming in. They have if it's a piece of property, they have a trust deed on that property, so their name is on title or lien against the property, but they have monthly cash flow. So it's a $500,000 loan that they've given out with collateral. They're getting $4,200 coming in every single month. And every month that cash flow, they're loaning out to all these properties. So they have insane amounts of cash flow coming in, and it's just continuous. It's never ending. And if something were to happen, they have enough equity in the home, or they feel enough equity in the home, they have collateral, they can go sell it and get their money back. So take that same example there, okay? So take the bank, and what we're going to do, so the bank here, we're going to do bank, right? And they're loaning money. So what we're going to do, and they have collateral behind it, right? They have that property. That's my collateral. They have that property. So I'm going to do this. What if you could have that never-ending cash flow? What if you could have that collateral? Now, here's the thing. So is the bank believe in real estate? Absolutely. They're making you put that up as collateral. Does the bank care what color that house is? Do they care whether you're cutting your lawn? I mean, they've loaned against that property, but do they care if you have a broken pipe or a bad tenant? They could care less. All they care about is the monthly cash flow, and if you don't pay, by law, they can foreclose and take that property, sell it, and get their money back. So take that same situation where the bank is using real estate to protect their money and have all the benefits of the cash flow and no headaches of being a real estate owner. Take that same scenario, and now let's put you there. So you take your funds, instead of you giving it to the bank and you get paid later, let's see if you can have that never-ending cash flow without ever having to basically give up that good rate of return like you're getting if you're going to go rent out a house. So what happens is, here's the difference. In these deeds of trust, or these trust deeds, we're looking at maybe a 50 to 60% loan to value. So when we're loaning these funds out, and we help you do this, we're doing it at 50%. So if that house is worth $100,000, the bank is going to loan them how much? $80,000. We're only going to loan them $50,000. And we have that same collateral behind it. So here's a question. If the bank had to repossess the house and they had to turn around and sell it, and the house is worth $100,000, how fast could they sell if it was 80% loan to value? How fast could they sell that house that was owed $80,000 to get their money back in a $100,000 market? They could do it quickly. Well, it wouldn't sell for 80, right? In a normal market, it would sell for 90 or even market value because that's the value. Well, let's take a look at this. If we were loaning on this property and it had 50% loan to value, right? If the house was worth $1 million, we only loaned $500,000. How long would it take for us to sell that $500,000 loan or that $1 million property for $500,000? It wouldn't even sell for $500,000. It would be bid for 6 and then 7 and then 8. Remember, this is a stable market. It would go for probably for about $1 million. That's basically what's going to happen. So here's how you get the never-ending cash flow. You loan your money out on these properties that are collateralized in a stable market like Southern California, and it's all managed for you. And what you're doing is you're going to be collecting that money on a monthly basis, okay? So you're not running out there buying the property, fixing it up, putting a tenant in there, or paying a property manager. You're basically putting loans, you're getting loans out, and you're putting liens, your name's on a lien against people's properties. So that's the safety in this stable market at a low loan to value. And what happens is this is completely managed for you. So if you have $1 million, you're probably in 2, 3, maybe even 4 properties. I mean, you're diversified in different properties. And so what happens is, here's my example. So now you have banks that might loan money out at 4, 5, 6%. But this is called private money. So there are people out there that need money for whatever reason. They could even have good credit. They could be business owners. So take my situation, for instance. I had a piece of property that I could go in and it was about 50 cents on the dollar. Now, these loans that we're doing aren't for purchases. These are for people that have established rental properties. This is not a primary residence that we're lending on, by the way. So I needed a loan. It was about 50% on the dollar. So I went to the bank, and this is a true story. I went to the bank and I said, hey, bank, I want to buy this piece of property. I even have my other house. I'll put up as collateral, right? I was going to take a loan from it, and I need to buy this piece of property. The bank said, oh, absolutely, that's a no-brainer. Here's some 1003s. Here, fill these out. About 30 to 45 days, we'll get you your money. I needed my money by the end of the week. So I need hundreds of thousands of dollars by the end of the week. So what did I do? I went out and got private money. I used a piece of property that I had a ton of equity in, okay? And what happened was they gave me a loan on that property that I got this money and I borrowed it at 9% and I had to make monthly payments. So now I basically have a piece of property that is about 50% loan to value that I borrowed money on at 9%. And if I didn't pay off that house in a year or that loan, they could foreclose on that property about 50 cents out of the dollar. At that time, it was worth 600 and I owed it about 3. So were they safe, the people that loaned me that money? Absolutely. How much was I paying? 9%, okay? So by the time the broker and everybody managing it, so the rate of return back to you is 7%. So here's another case study. So you're going to put $100,000 out, okay? And what's going to happen is you're going to get $7,000, but you're going to get it in monthly payments. And if it was $2,000 or $200,000, you're going to get $14,000 in monthly payments. That's your cash flow. And that's the beautiful thing about this. It's never-ending cash flow. I'm going to give you one more scenario. This is an actual client right now. So here's a lady that her husband recently passed away, and she has literally millions of dollars in property. And so she's at a point now where she has a cash flow problem. She has it rented out, but some are vacant, and she has problems with some. There's high expenses on some, but there's a lot of equity, in these properties. And so she has a cash flow problem. So to increase her cash flow, she is now managing these properties on her own. Now her husband passed away. She's in her 70s, and so but now what she needs to do is she needs to increase her cash flow. So now she's managing these properties. And so we looked at her and said, well, tell us your situation. She goes, I need more cash flow. So we were spitballing with somebody. They said, well, she has enough cash flow. Take that, buy another property, and now you have more cash flow and just continue to do it because she has got so much cash flow. She can continue to qualify. She's retired. This is an absolute nightmare and headache managing these properties. She wants to be retired, not be a full-time property manager, okay? So if you are already retired and you own properties, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we went to her, and so she has one of the properties, it's a commercial property, and we said, what are your goals? She said, I want to pass along the properties to my kids, but I'm still having this cash flow problem. So we looked at one property, it's a commercial property. She's bringing in $4,500 a month from this commercial property. So it's worth $3 million and over $3 million. So we did the numbers and we said, look, if she sold it for even $3 million, paid the taxes, paid her realtor, maybe even had some spending money, we took 2.5 from that scenario. She still has all the other properties to give to her kids and all that other cash flow. We took that same 2.5 and we loaned it out at 50% loan to value. So there's a ton of equity, there's safety, it's completely managed for her. We went from $4,500 a month to $14,600 on that same money. Before she was managing this property, things were going wrong, there was a slab leak. So now she doesn't have no headaches, nothing. She doesn't worry about anything. She's completely safe. Her name is actually a trust where her funds are at. Her name of her trust is actually on title as a lien holder against these properties. She is so safe. This cash flow continues to come in. In fact, it's almost $14,600 a month coming in. Did it completely change her scenario? Yes. So she went from accumulating properties to now she just needs cash flow and she needs it safe because now this is a critical point in her life where she needs that income. That is the secret to having never-ending cash flow.